Good morning. I'm Chef Alli here on behalf of Meet the Farmer here on with Kansas Living. I always enjoy partnering with Kansas Living. And today I have a very special guest. I would like for you guys to meet Rick McNary, and he is the founder of Shop Kansas Farms. Did I get that right, Rick?
You did.
Yeah, and so that is a group that you founded, and I have a question for you right off the bat, because could you feel me stalking you this morning?
No, I couldn't.
And I found something that you said that tells the story of kind of how you founded this. And I believe it said that you were watching a Hallmark movie with your wife when this idea came to you.
Yes.
Now, explain that a little bit.
Well, just to kind of unwind for the day, my wife loves to watch a good Hallmark movie.
Got it.
So we were sitting in our recliners, respectively, watching a Hallmark movie one evening, and when I created this Facebook group.
Oh, okay. So you created it probably while she was watching the movie. Okay, I get it. I knew there was something.
You're right.
Would you share with our viewers kind of your thought behind this, how it's gotten going, and what your idea was? I think I know what that is, but share that with our viewers.
You bet. So while we were watching that Hallmark movie, we had just finished a great dinner with some beef that we had purchased from a farm down in Anthony, Katie and Craig Carruthers and their KCK Farms. We purchased some of their great beef. It was incredible. And that evening we were watching the movie and talking about actually what a great dinner it was. And my wife said she had been to the grocery store that day and the meat counter was empty. And I thought, what an incredible disconnect here. We've just had some wonderful beef, and yet the stores are empty. And how can I let my friends know about Katie and Craig and others that are out there that I know, raise things that beef and produce and meat that they sell directly to consumers. So I've been on Facebook. I didn't know much about a Facebook group. And so I started the Shop Kansas Farms Facebook group that evening at 6:58 p.m. on April 28th and invited a few friends.
Yes.
And checked back at about 10 o'clock just to see if anybody had responded. And by that time, over 400 people had joined.
I have your statistics right here. And they are very, very incredible, because it said in the first 7 days, so 1 week, you had 4,580 members. And at 12 days, you had 32,000. And currently you have over 143,000 people in that group. That speaks so loudly.
It does.
Yeah, and I think it goes to show that people do believe in our farmers, and they do want to connect with them, and they want to purchase what we have and what we sell as farmers. So I like it that you kind of turned a negative, the COVID, into a positive. So can you speak about that a little bit? Because I bet, obviously when your wife went to the store and the meat case was empty, that played into a lot of this.
Well, really, for the first time in my life, and I'm 60 years old, I'd never seen meat counters empty or the paper towel or the toilet goods gone.
Yeah.
So the idea of our grocery stores being empty and the climate of fear around COVID, and knowing that food and taking care of ourselves is Maslow's hierarchy of need. It's right at the top. And
Yes.
so there's a fear that I think the public had, myself included.
Right.
And the beautiful thing in all of this is that the farmers and ranchers in Kansas have calmed the public's fears.
Mm-hmm.
They've said, in essence, we got you. We've got you covered. We've been doing this, that hashtag I've seen, still farming,
Yes.
they're still doing it. It's just that people became aware that the food supply could be as close as a mile away,
Uh-huh.
as opposed to, I'd read once some time ago that the average calorie we consume travels 1,500 miles. And that's a big supply chain. And knowing that we can actually drive down the road really calmed people down and gave them a sense of assurance.
Yes. Well, and I think, it always goes back to, everything goes back to relationships, and it's been cool to see the relationships that have been created between consumers and farmers. And even when things get back to normal, hopefully they will, I bet those relationships are going to continue, because it's much more fun to go to a farm and get your food, to see how it's grown. And I think that's one of the quotes that I saw, that you said, know your food, know your farmer. I love that. And I actually have kind of some other things. Like I said, I was stalking you and your 7 lessons that you learned in the first 7 days. Um, I, I loved how you said that it was like herding chickens, getting everything set up. And I know you have some really good help. I know Megan and Olivia help you with the admin. And I bet that, because I'm sure you probably kind of felt overwhelmed when everything came like that. I bet you did. And, but I think that it's so cool. And you said, the pleasure of watching people connect has reminded me of why I believe that the agricultural community has what we've all been missing, a true understanding of community based on need rather than convenience.
Mm-hmm.
So you've put together, I love this 7 lessons. Was there anything, has there been, as you've continued, have there been any other big lessons that you've learned?
The ability for the relationships is, to me, the biggest lesson in all. And you touched on that, because
Mm-hmm.
the question we get is, when COVID is over, when this calms down, is this going to continue? And I believe it is, because of the relationship aspect, because relationships also come with stories. And corporations spend millions of dollars trying to craft a story, a narrative around a product.
Right.
And now you have 143,000 stories,
Yes.
of
And
people that have made the connection, and they've learned. I think the second component is the learning that has gone on,
mm-hmm.
as people ask questions of, okay, how do I buy a quarter of beef? What does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
And do I get to determine what cuts, and how is it raised? And so, farmers have learned how to speak the language of a consumer,
Right.
and consumers have learned a tremendous amount, myself included,
Uh-huh.
farmers and ranchers, uh,
I
about how things work.
I think sometimes when you live here in the Midwest and you see fields and pastures and cattle and crops everywhere, you have a tendency to think that you know about farming and how it all works. But I can honestly say that until I got on some farms and started talking to some farmers and ranchers, I discovered I've lived here all my life and I really don't know that much. So I bet people have really, really loved that opportunity to, and I bet they've been surprised.
Yeah. Yes.
Like you said, what it means to get a quarter of a beef and where will I put that and how will I cook it? So yeah, I like that aspect. And Also, I think it was cool. I was on there today and I noticed how people share, or they ask what they're looking for. Like somebody today was asking, where can I get scrapple? Where can I get rhubarb jelly? And things like that that make you realize or make you think of all the things that are probably out there that just don't cross your mind.
Yeah.
And the variety is just super cool. But also what I liked is how people would take a photo, and this work kind of works both ways. If you're a seller, it's neat to take a photo to show people your product. But what I really liked was when people would show what they'd purchased and then what they'd done with it, because that's just a super neat aspect of it as well. And I think where you've made that to where people can put the region is pretty neat too.
Yeah.
Have you always had that on there?
We started putting it on after we started getting a lot of requests for where are things. We realized we needed to make it as specific as possible.
Yeah, I saw a lady put on there today, I need 40 pounds of beets and I will drive 90 miles to Topeka to go get them. I mean, that's serious business there.
Yeah, it is. One of the limitations of Facebook is that you can't really, it doesn't work well with Google Maps. Those are two different companies.
Oh, okay.
And so the question that we've had is, can we have a map with a directory? Well, you just cannot do that on Facebook. I mean, we can do the regions, but it still doesn't lend itself. So sometime in the next couple of weeks, we're rolling out a new website, and it will have a business directory with an interactive map that you can also, by region.
Uh-huh.
So it'll make it a lot easier for people to find those things.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that'll be awesome to be able, and also it'll be cool to see across the state, where people are located. And because, when I was looking at your group on Facebook, I kind of wanted to take a road trip. That prompted a lot of people to think that,
Yeah.
especially now, where we can't really get out in the public. Why not gather your family and get in your car and go visit some farmers?
Yep. That's wonderful. We love seeing that happen.
Yeah, I bet you do. And I see where you guys have t-shirts now.
Yep.
That's good marketing.
Pardon?
That's good marketing.
Well, and it's also, my career passion for the last 2 decades has been in the hunger space, finding solutions to domestic and global hunger, both from, give a man a fish today, but also teach them to fish for tomorrow.
Right.
And so, I love farmers. And I often say I want to be a farmer's biggest cheerleader, but I do not have the courage nor the faith to be a farmer. I could never sleep at night. I admire them incredibly. And I believe, again, that their understanding of community based on we have to have each other to survive, as opposed to most of us think community is the people we like to hang around with.
Mm-hmm.
And so the proceeds, all the profits from those shirts actually go to the Kansas Farm Bureau's Ending Hunger Project.
Oh, cool. I didn't realize that.
Yep. And so it's a way of, helping me, fulfill my passion to help feed the hungry and support farmers and bring attention to farmers. I've often said I want to be the biggest cheerleader, but I won't bring pom-poms and I won't do a cartwheel. Nobody wants to see that.
I don't know. You might draw a crowd. Yeah. Well, I did see that you actually are a farmer now because you have 12 chickens.
I don't know where that came from, other than, I've traveled extensively for 20 years internationally. And with COVID hitting, it shut me down. And I was quite all right with that because I'm tired of traveling.
Oh.
And I was supposed to go to Ireland with my sons as my 60th birthday.
Oh. Oh.
and that got canceled. And my wife said, well, what do you want instead? And I said, I want chickens. I've always but I just have never had them. And she's not a real big bird fan. So she's like, are you kidding? That's what you want? So yes, I've got chickens. And I get made fun of a lot by.
What was the last thing you said? What was the last thing you said? I'm sorry.
I get made fun of a lot by some farmers that I know and love dearly, but they like to rib me. They call me the chicken farmer now.
Yeah, well, they might want to take that back because everybody starts somewhere, Rick.
Well, they're actually getting letters. My chicks, they're called Rick's Chicks. And I've had an international agricultural policy expert send 3 letters to them.
That's funny.
From her ducks. So I think people are looking for a little comic relief in
Sure,
the midst of
they
all.
sure are. Well, I found some comic relief in that, that's for sure. So as you're moving forward with Shop Kansas Farmers, you said you're starting a website, and that's coming soon. And besides the map, how do you hope to use your website? Maybe as a call to action for people, or what are your plans there?
You bet. Well, we certainly want to be able to tell stories of the farmers and build those relationships. I write actually for Kansas Living as an outsider looking in, as a non-farmer who admires them greatly. And so I've got some stories that I can share and do more of, but also helping the website be a place that farmers can actually list their things to sell. Because we know a lot of farmers don't have time to build a website. They don't have the money to invest in e-commerce, and all that goes into that. But if they can just send us their stuff and we can populate it and people can buy and get all the shipping and all that kind of stuff figured out.
Right.
An Amazon-like service, for farmers. Because, we're just, in the last few months, we've been looking for the gaps. We've been listening to what the farmers are saying they need. And that's one of the things they need. Can you help us figure out how to sell our stuff? And also, they also want to be, the farmers want to be able to premiere their stuff on a website so it stays at the top, or it gets up, gets more prominence. Because there are so many posts that go through every day, sometimes, hundreds. It's hard to find things. And so some of the farmers like, how can we be found better? And Facebook doesn't let you do that. But also with our we're going to have a place that they can post reviews. That business is on there, and that all the people who go buy from them, they're doing it now on Facebook, but being able to do it. And so you can gauge, because part of the question is, people from the public, is my food safe? Am I buying from safe? And who's trustworthy and who's reliable? And we've done the best we can to kind of make sure that happens. But, we don't have the capacity to monitor all of that. We're not that. So letting people kind of, say, hey, these guys are fantastic, or yeah, I didn't have such good service from them. And people, which is a popular thing to do.
Well, I know there's a lot of pressure on moms because we make most of the decisions when it comes to household things and meals and all of that. So having those reviews, like, who doesn't look at those on Amazon to see those experiences? And, people are much more likely, if they hear it from a friend or an acquaintance, to take that to heart, I think. So I think it's very smart on your part to give that opportunity to not only to the farmers, but the consumers, because they feel like they're included as well. So again, so as you move forward, I think the next thing is your website, like we've just talked about, but is there anything after that you have planned?
Yeah, actually, part of the website, as it builds out, we want to have it serve as a hub for regional food systems.
So explain that.
So a food system involves more than just somebody growing things and somebody buying that. You know, you need the processors, and that's a real gap right now. The small meat processors are just inundated for the next 2 years. You
Right.
know, where can we stimulate some entrepreneurs to rise up and meet those needs? How
Mm-hmm.
can we find cold storage in a region? You know, when you grow produce in Kansas and beef, you know, cold storage is a huge issue and helps with that business. Is there a way that regionally we can set up certified kitchens so people can take their produce in and make the value added products of the jellies and jams or whatever is needed to be licensed, and yet not have the burden of having their own facility themselves?
Mm-hmm.
And also provide marketing assistance and uh, website support if they need it, or, you know, some branding. You know, we've when people put posts up right now, we're going back and saying, please rewrite this or use another photo. You know, this isn't going to be received well, and so we're trying to help because we got some great communicators. So
Right.
really, our number one priority inside of our group is to prosper farmers
Mm-hmm.
and also to protect them. And so
Sure.
another part of this that was a big learning thing for me is there was a lot of people that would attack farmers over the way they raise things, over the pricing of things. And boy,
Sure.
we just shut that down and actually put in a one strike and you're out rule because it got bad on occasion. So we prosper and protect the
Mm-hmm.
farmer. And so everything is about how do we help, you know, the big ones and the little ones and everybody prosper, and what do they need? So
Mm-hmm.
by region, what do they need to be able to grow things, to process things, to store things until the market's right? So
Mm-hmm. So, did I understand you correctly that you, in the Shop Kansas Farms group, you have not just small farmers, but there are some bigger ones in there as well?
there are, and what we've discovered is that the bigger ones are learning that there's a new way they can sell things um, that have a higher margin.
Can you give me an example of that?
Absolutely. So one of the struggles that I've discovered that ranchers have is, you know, when they raise lots of cattle
Mm-hmm.
um, and send them to big slaughterhouses, the prices, they're not making any money at times, or
Right.
the prices are driven by that.
Mm-hmm.
And yet some of the what they're discovering is that some of these that people will pay a premium
Mm-hmm.
for beef or another product if it has a different way of being produced, meaning that if it's got a story around it, but if it's also been aged 21 days, if they know where the locker is, it gets back to that regional thing that they
Right.
can go to that locker and they can go see the cattle being raised. I
Right.
actually had a rancher, have a conversation with one of the, what I would say, a premium beef seller, and he said, how do you justify charging these prices? How does that happen? I've been only getting this and you're getting that. And
Uh-huh.
so this conversation was really illuminating as this producer said, this is how we do it. And so that rancher responded back to me and he said, I've run the numbers. I figure I could probably make more money off of 50 head than I can off of 500.
Yeah. And I think it's cool that they're figuring out, that there are other avenues, and that people will pay that premium for something. Like you said, if there's a story around it, if it's, I think a lot of people are looking for a way to eat better. And I
Mhm.
think not only are they seeking that grass fed or that grass finished or whatever it is, they're also looking for that experience
Mhm.
of feeling good about, and I think getting to go to the farm and actually see, I bet they're surprised that it's not at all maybe what they think.
Exactly.
what they've been fed, over the internet and things like
Yeah,
that. So I bet that makes them feel really good and have that sense of relief that, what you're feeding your family is good quality, and it removes
absolutely.
that fear. Yeah. Um so today, and also I wanted to tell you that I got such a big kick out of your story that you told, about riding the horse in your day of trying to be a cowboy. So I think that's cool because you do have some roots that go back to farming and agriculture, and obviously what you've done for a living. Food is such a hot topic, and like you said, when there's fear, uh, that really brings the people out and drives them. So you had perfect timing with this, in spite of it being a Hallmark movie. That thank goodness for Hallmark movies. How about that? So, as we close out, Rick, is there anything that we didn't cover this morning, or that you want, both consumers or farmers to know from this live cast?
For the consumers, please get to know your farmers. These are wonderful, hardworking people, and for many of them, not much has changed with all of this. They're still getting up at 5 in the morning and finishing at midnight.
Yes.
And these are the people that embody the values that make us a wonderful state.
Mm-hmm.
Their hard work, their ethics, their character, their integrity, the way that they treat others, and they're what our country needs right now. Is
Mm-hmm.
they need farmers, and they need to understand what these wonderful people are. When I take my grandkids places and they're all urban, I point at farmers and ranchers and I say, make those people your heroes,
Mm-hmm.
because that's the 2% of the population that's feeding the other 100% of us.
Yeah,
So
that's incredible. When you think of all the people in the world, and that less than 2% are farmers, I think we can't expect people to really know, what we're doing. And so getting to show them firsthand, and then they share that, with their friends. And so I think you have just probably revitalized Kansas, and maybe even America, because there are some other states that are, doing a copycat thing with you, right?
34.
34, that's exciting.
Yeah.
So were you kind of the first one
Yeah.
that decided? Oh my gosh. Well, more power to those Hallmark movies. That's what I.
And to the farmers who are listening and ranchers, I would encourage them to use Shop Kansas Farms as a communication platform. It's there for you. Please communicate. There are people anxious to hear who you are, meet you, hear your stories, learn what you do. Use this, because I know farmers have been looking. How do they connect to the public? Here it is for you. It's free.
So not only can they put their wares and their products out there, but they can also can they share things about what they're actually doing on the farm and what a day in their life looks like?
Absolutely.
That's cool.
We'd
That's
love that.
And are you finding that the farmers uh, do those things out in I mean, because I think that's super cool, just to get to know, like, because people just don't get to see that. So if they take 2 minutes or 1 minute just to show what they're doing, that speaks so loudly.
Yeah.
That's cool. Very good.
And I think farmers are a little bit afraid.
Sure,
They've been attacked publicly,
sure, I know.
and from leaders in the nation, that don't understand that cow flatulence is not the problem for global warming. So
Right.
I understand their reticence, but no, from our standpoint, we have done everything we can to protect the farmers. So
Hmm.
we've created a safe environment and a platform, and we watch.
I
So
know.
if somebody puts something out and they start getting attacked, the person that attacks them is
Mhm.
immediately thrown out.
Right.
We just don't have the patience for that. We don't tolerate that. So we've created a safe environment,
Mhm.
plus a really big group to talk to.
Yes.
who want to know what you're doing.
Yeah, they definitely do. They totally do. Well, Rick, I want to thank you not only for what you've done here on behalf of Kansas farmers and ranchers, but for taking the time to talk with me this morning so that we can put this broadcast out on the Kansas Living website, so that people can get to know and come over and join Shop Kansas Farms. I just think it's phenomenal what you've done, and I thank you for doing that.
Well, my pleasure.
Yes.
Well, my pleasure.
We'll keep an eye on you and your group. I'll definitely be searching that and looking for products up here in Northeast Kansas. I
Yep.
don't think we even said that you actually live down around the Wichita area. What was your town again?
Potwin, Potwin, small little town of 450 people, and that includes the dogs and the cats and my chickens.
And your 12 Rick's chicks.
Rick's chicks.
Are your chickens laying any eggs yet?
Not yet. They're supposed to anytime, and I check them every day. I have a chat with them every day about it too.
That's a good idea. I saw your description of your chicken house. Did I see where it said you have Bose surround sound for your ladies and wireless internet? They say
Yeah.
laying eggs.
They're not lacking for anything.
Well, good luck to you as a chicken farmer, and I hope we get to visit with you again soon. So again, you guys, I'm Chef Alli on behalf of Kansas Living, and we've been visiting with Rick McNary, the founder of Shop Kansas Farms. So if you guys would share this video as you see it out there on the internet, we would sure appreciate it, because we want everybody in Kansas to know about Shop Kansas Farms and get in that ginormous group and start having some conversations. So anything else, Rick?
No, thanks for all that you do. I appreciate who you are and what you are for Kansas farmers and ranchers too. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and I look forward to chatting with you soon.
Likewise. Thanks, Alli.
Bye.